All, in this video we will talk about polymorphism, and in the previous videos we already spoke about reference variables. Let's just recap that. So here this particular statement, what it is doing is we are creating a new dog object on the heap, and then we are assigning that to a reference variable, and the reference variable type is also a dog. So we can compare a reference variable thing with the TV remote control. Let's say you have a TV remote control and you have a TV as well. Now TV remote control has buttons to operate channels, like to change channels and to increase the volume. But let's say you brought a new TV, and would you be able to operate your TV immediately? No, you have to connect your TV remote control with your TV, then only you will be able to change the channels or increase the volume. Otherwise, if you just have a new remote control, like let's say in the shop you have a TV, new remote control, and if you keep pressing buttons, nothing will happen. You have to connect that remote to your TV, then only you will be able to operate it. So the same thing happens here. First, what we are doing is you are creating a new reference variable. Reference variable is the TV remote control, and you are creating a new dog object. New dog object is nothing but the TV. Now on this remote control, on this reference variable, what you have is you have a remote control. Okay, like it has some buttons using which you can invoke methods. So let's say here you see this reference variable is of type dog. So as soon as you declare this reference variable, there will be a holder that gets created which will hold only the dog reference variables. See, this is of type dog. This holder only holds reference variables of type dog. What is there in this reference variable? So as soon as you declare a reference variable with any type, it will go to the type. So here you have declared dog reference variable, right? It goes to the dog class, and inside the dog class, whatever are the methods that are present here. Let's say inside the dog, what you have three methods that are present. Variables roam, eat, okay, and then what it does is it will create buttons for each and every method. So if you press print dog variables button, then it will invoke the print dog variables, and if you press the eat button, then it will invoke the method implementation that is present here. Okay, now like let's say you have instance variables also in your class, then it will have buttons created for those instance variables also. So basically the reference variable is like it will have address, or it will it will have some way to access all the methods that are all the instance variables and the methods that are present here. It will have some placeholders to access each and everything that is present in this type dog. Okay. Now here, as soon as you create a reference variable, will you be able to invoke those methods? No. As soon as you brought a TV remote control, are you able to change the channels? No. You have to connect that to your TV. The same thing. The next step is you have created an object on the heap. Okay. Third step is you are linking the remote control to the object. Like you are linking the TV remote control with the TV. Now you are linking the reference variable to the object. So now after linking, when you invoke button method of, what it does is it goes and invokes the method of like roam method on this object. Okay. Now in the reference variable will just have the buttons, but when it gets linked to any object, then only it will be able to perform the operation. Okay. Now let's say in future you create another object which is of type dog. Now what you can do is you can you can unlink this, and you can link this TV remote control or the reference variable to this dog object, then it will work perfectly fine. This is how a reference variable works. Now if you carefully see here, dog reference variable is of type dog, and even the object is also of type dog. Here both object and the reference variables are having the same type. What if the object and the reference variables are of different types, as shown here? Here if you see, the object is of type dog and the reference variable is of type animal. How it would work? So we already know, right? As soon as you create a reference variable, first let's break this to three steps that we have done here. first let's create a reference variable. So as soon as you create a reference variable, there will be a holder that is created, and that holder can accept only animal reference variables. It will not accept other reference variables, like it will not accept vegetable reference variables. It accepts only the animal reference variables. Okay, and inside the variable, what it does is it goes to this animal class. Okay, and then if you look at animal class here, it has 4 methods: make, noise, eat, sleep, and roam. So it will create buttons or some holders for the methods and the variables that are present inside the animal class. So after that, if you assign any object, if you assign animal object, if you link animal object to this reference variable, then as soon as you press these buttons, it will go and it will invoke the methods on this object. Like let's say here animal is a reference variable. What it does is goes to the animal class, and then it has 4 methods that are present, and it will create buttons for 4 methods. But now if you press make noise method or the eat button, then it won't work. The next step is you are creating the dog object, and dog object is on the heap. And then when you link, in the third step, when you link your remote control with your dog object, after that if you press make noise button, then it goes to the dog object, and then it will go to dog object. So there is a dog class, right? And it will go and invoke the make noise of method that is present in the dog object. Here if you see, there is no make noise method present. But what it does is, here it will find that it is extending the animal. We already discussed during inheritance discussion, right? That whatever the methods that are present in the animal are like those are methods of dog as well. So first, when it like what happened, it goes to the animal class, and then it had created 4 buttons. Now if I press make noise of button, it goes to the dog object, and then it searches in the dog class that make noise for the make noise implementation that is not there. So what it does, it searches for the super class. Since animal is the super class, it goes and searches for the make noise of method in the animal class. It is present, it gets invoked. Now next thing, for eat of. So first it goes to the dog, and then it searches for the eat of implementation. There is eat of implementation, then this gets invoked. The implementation that is present in the child classes are given the importance. So when you draw an inheritance tree, first let's say animal comes first, and then the dog, right? So whatever is the lowest implementation, that is giving the importance. If there is no implementation that is present in the child class, then it goes to the super class. The same thing happened for make noise, right? Since make noise implementation is not present in the dog, it will go and search in the animal class, and this gets invoked. Okay. Now let's see, whatever we have discussed till now, we will write the code and see. Okay. Now what had happened, I'll create animal type. Okay, I'll create animal reference type, and then I'll create a new dog object. Okay. Now let's say if I do animal dot make noise of, inside dog, since I don't have a make noise of method, this should get printed, right? Make noise in animal should get printed. Let me try that. Okay. Now let me try that. So if you see here, it is printing make noise in animal. Let's say I will add some implementation for make noise of here itself. Okay, public void make noise of, then see what it will print. Like what dog is barking. I'm writing dog is barking. Now let's see what gets printed. So if you see here, dog is barking. So what had happened, when you assign, a reference, like when your reference variable type is different from the object type, what it does is it will create buttons. Only it will create buttons for the methods that are present in the animal. And when you invoke the button, first it will go to the object. The reference variable is used only to create the buttons, but whenever you invoke press the buttons, the actual implementation, it will go to the object, and then it will search for that method implementation in the actual object, not in the reference variable. If it is not present, then it goes and searches in its super class. Okay. Now let me do one more thing. In the dog, what had happened? Print dog variables is there, and this method is not present in the animal class. Now can I invoke print dog variables using the same reference type? If you look here, what happened? Animal dot make noise of. Animal has 4 methods. Okay, animal dot make noise, eat, sleep and roam. But if you look at dog, it has overridden the behavior, make noise, behavior, roam and the eat. But print dog variables method is not present in the animal. Can I invoke that using this reference variable? I'll try that. Print dog variables. So if I do that, it will throw error. See, if you see here, it is throwing error. Compiler itself is throwing error. Cannot resolve method print dog variables in animal. So why we are not able to invoke it? If you look here, what it has done, it has gone to the animal class, and then whatever the methods that are present in the animal class, for those only it had created the buttons. Print dog variables is not present in the animal class. That's why it had not created any button. Like if you don't have any button to invoke the print dog variables on this object, how can you even invoke it? You can't invoke it. So the main thing to notice here is, if you are assigning, if your object type and the reference variable type are different, you can only invoke methods that are present in the reference variable type. Not like if there is any method that is specific to this object type and not present in this reference variable, then you can't invoke it. So here what had happened, if these types are different, and you can invoke only methods that are present in the animal. And if your object has specific implementation for those methods, like make noise, dog itself has implementation for make noise, right? Then that is given the preference. First, that is given the preference. But if you don't have the implementation for the methods that are present in this reference variable, then it will go and search in the reference type only. Okay. Now, initially, you did not have implementation for make noise here. Then it, like what it had done, it had went to the animal class and it had executed this. Okay. Now, when your reference types are different, you can't use the specific methods that are present in the subclass type. Like you can't use the print dog variables here, right? That can't be done. Okay. And one more thing here. Now, here what you have done, you have assigned it to the dog. Can I assign it to cat? Yeah, definitely you can assign. Let me run this. What happens? Here, if you see make noise in cat, what had happened? It went to the, as soon as I pressed make noise of, it went to the cat object and then it searched for the make noise of implementation in the cat class. Since that is present, that got invoked. Okay. Can I replace that with other things? Yeah, like let's say I'll replace it with lion. Yeah, definitely it will work. Let us see what happens now. So here when you replaced it with lion, it is invoking the implementation that is present in the lion. Make noise of lion is roaring. Okay. Now, so what is happening here? Here you can replace the object, like reference variable is constant and even the methods are also constant. Like you did not, when you want to make lion roar, did you change anything here in this particular line? No, you did not change. When you want your cat to make sound, you did not change this. You did not change this line, and you did not change this line as well. What had happened here, by using the superclass reference variable type, reference variable, you can assign any subclass. Like you can assign lion, you can assign cat, you can assign dog, you can assign hippo. And even the methods also, you can just go and make animal.make noise of. You need not change this implementation. The only thing is you can pass any subclass type. Okay. So with this approach, what you can do is, it's very easy, right? Like just by using the superclass reference variable type, you avoid doing code changes. And even if you look here, let's say animal.make noise of. Let us consider one more example. Okay, you have this wet class. Okay, now what this wet class is doing, whenever you pass an animal type, it is making the noise. Okay, now what you can do, let's say I am the pet owner. Initially I have only dog as my pet. So what I'll do wet.give short of, I'll pass dog. So when I pass dog to this, when I invoke give short of method, what it happens, it will invoke make noise of method on the dog. In future, I bought hippo as well. So when I bought hippo, I want to make my hippo also make sound. In that case, do I need to write another method here for give short of hippo? Like let's say if you do this hard code implementation dog, then if I pass here, like let's say if I pass here hippo, then it will fail because it is saying that it will accept only dogs. Here initially you had only dog, then your give short method worked. Later on, since I am the pet owner, I want to buy more pets, so I have bought hippo. Now if I am trying to use the give short of hippo, then it is not working because it is accepting only the animal. What if I change this to the animal reference type? Here the reference types, you like objects can be anything. Here the virtual objects whatever you are creating, those can be any subclass. But if you change the reference type from dog to the animal, what you have done, you need not create another method for give short of hippo. This will work fine. Let's see here. Now when you try give short of hippo, it works fine because hippo is also an animal. So if you instead of using the concrete reference types, if you use the superclass reference type, and anywhere in your code you can replace, you can pass any objects. Here the superclass is the animal is the superclass, and cat, dog, hippo, lion are the concrete classes. And in the wet class, instead of using the concrete reference types like dog, instead of using the dog reference type, if you replace that with the superclass animal reference type, what had happened? You avoided writing one more method for hippo. What you have done, you have just replaced the superclass reference types. Okay, so if you look carefully here, the examples we have discussed. So first example, what you are doing, you are telling animal dot make noise of, but it can be anything. Like here sometimes this will make the noise by the it will bark, sometimes it will roar, and sometimes it will make the sound that cats make. So the same method, if you look here, the same method, when the same make noise of method is exhibiting different behaviors. Sometimes, like when you pass dog here, it barks. When you pass cat here, it makes the cat sound. And when you pass lion or tiger, they roar it. So the same noise, the same make noise of method is exhibiting different behaviors. Even here, when you do the give short of, sometimes this give short is getting invoked on the cat, sometimes it gets invoked on the hippo, sometimes it gets invoked on the lion. Okay, so if you look here, the same methods or the same animals are exhibiting the different behaviors. Okay, now here what had happened, sometimes this animal is a hippo, sometimes this animal is a cat, sometimes this animal is a lion. Like let's say if you use cat, now this particular animal is a cat, and if you replace this with the lion, this particular animal is a lion. Okay, so polymorphism. Polymorphism means poly means many forms. So the whatever the thing we are using, if it is having many forms, then we call that as a polymorphism. Here also the same make noise of method is exhibiting different behaviors. Okay, and the same animal reference type here, it can act, sometimes it can act as a lion, sometimes it can act as a cat, sometimes it can act as a dog. Okay, so like it is based on the object you are passing, it is exhibiting the different behaviors. That's why we call this behavior as a polymorphism. Now to achieve the polymorphism, what we have done, the only thing we have done is we are using the superclass reference types. Okay, instead of using the concrete reference types, instead of using, like let's say if I use lion and if I do make noise of, it will invoke only make noise of method that is present in the lion. If it won't work for the dog, let's say I do the dog new dog off. Okay, dog new dog off, and if I pass lion new dog off, right? Now if I do new dog off here, let's say if I do new dog off, it won't work because you are using the concrete references types, not the superclass reference types. So always, like it's always better to use the superclass reference types instead of the concrete reference types. And one more advantage here is, let's say in future you want to add a new animal, you can still add a new animal and then you can pass that object here. You can pass that object. Then you need not make any code changes here. Animal dot make noise of will still work. The same thing here in the vet, right? Let's say in the future pet owner has bought a new pet. In that case, he can just create a new, he can create an object for the new pet and he can invoke the give short of. Like even if the person who had developed this code is on leave, then other fellow developers can still can still create a new object which extends the animal and they can still use this. So you have seen so many advantages by using the superclass reference variables, right? Instead of using the concrete implementations. So by using the superclass reference variable, you can see different behaviors, okay? And here the main thing we have done here is method overriding. Let's say make noise of, you have your own implementation in the cat and you have your own implementation in the dog. So what we have done, there is a method in the superclass, and then what you have done, if you want to override it, you have overridden the behavior in each and every subclasses. You have copied the public void make noise of, you have used this method and then you have written your own implementation, and these behaviors are present in the subclasses. So using the method overriding and then using the superclass reference type, you can achieve many behaviors. You can have a single reference variable act as different things and it can exhibit different behaviors. Now let's go to the test method. So the same animal can behave as a dog, lion, and the same animal can behave as a hippo, right? That's what called as a polymorphism. Let's see here. Now here if you see, you have an array which is holding animals, and they can hold any animal. Since I'm using the reference superclass reference variable, I can put any animal here. I have put dog, I have put cat, I have put wolf, I have put hippo, and I have put lion. And let's say instead of using the superclass reference variable, if I do this, would this work? Definitely. See, it is throwing error for all lines except the lion, because you are assigning the different type. Change new dog to the new lion. But if I do this animal, right? So what had happened, this will still work, and you are able to invoke eat method and roam method for each and every object, for each and every animal. Let me run this. So if you see here, first object is dog. In the output also you are having dog is eating and dog is roaming. And the second object is cat. Cat is eating and the cat is roaming. And the third object is wolf. Wolf is eating and the wolf is roaming. And the fourth object is the hippo. Hippo is eating and the hippo is roaming. And the final object is the lion. Lion is eating and the lion is roaming. Okay, lion is eating and the lion is roaming. So here what had happened, since we are using superclass reference variable, and since you have specific implementation, since you have these subclasses have overridden the method, eat method and the roam method in their subclasses, you can use this generic code to invoke eat roam methods on different objects. And sometimes this eat method this eat method gets invoked on the dog, sometimes this method gets invoked on the cat. The same animal is behaving as dog, cat, wolf, hippo and lion. So that's why, since the same animal is behaving as different thing, you call this as a polymorphism. Now you can compare this with the real world example also. Let's take a girl. So she, like when she goes to office, she is an employee. When she is at home, she is a daughter, she is a sister and she is a mother, right? For each and every role, it has different responsibilities. Like when she is an employee, she has to work. When she is when she is acting as a daughter, she has other responsibilities. The same person, depending on the situation and depending on the place, is behaving differently. Here as well, the same reference type or the same method invocation, it is exhibiting different behaviors based on the object we are passing. And one more thing is, this polymorphism is the runtime behavior. We can get to know the behavior only during runtime. What does that mean? Let's go to this vet object, okay, vet class. And here you have this give short of animal. Now, by just looking at this method, will you be able to tell which animal is making noise? Under the animal also you have cat, dog, hippo and lion, right? will you be able to tell which animal is making noise? No, you don't know, unless like during runtime, which object is getting passed here. Based on that object only you will get to know which animal is making noise. By just looking at this method, you don't know which is actually making noise. You don't know whether it's a dog or cat or a lion. You will get to know only during runtime. So compile time doesn't know about this behavior, polymorphic behavior. Only during runtime you will get to know. During runtime, what you are doing, you are actually creating the object, any animal object, and then you are invoking this give short of method by passing this object. So based on the object you are passing, you will get to know which animal is making noise. So that can be identified only during runtime. By just looking at this method, compiler will not tell like which animal is making noise. That's why this polymorphic behavior can be identified only during runtime, not during the compile time. Let's see another example as well. Okay, now here you have a monster superclass and you have two subclasses, dragon and then vampire. Okay, these are extending monster. Now if you see, if you want to create an array of monsters, what had happened, you have created an array of monsters. Inside that you are storing vampire, dragon and monster, and you are invoking the frighten of method. Let's see what happened. So first thing what it is doing is, it will go to the for the first object, it will go to the vampire and it will search for the frighten. Okay, now it will go and search for the frighten. This is not present. It will go to the superclass and then whatever there in the superclass, it will print that. So if you see, first thing it had printed is this particular one, and next time what it has done, it will go to the monster drive, and the second object is the dragon object. It will go to the dragon object and it will search for the frighten implementation. It is present. Breathe the fire, it has printed. And the third one is monster. It will go to the monster class and then it will search for the frighten and it will implement this. It will print this. So here also what you have seen, you have a list of array of monsters, but you don't know which monster you don't know which monster is getting invoked, right? Which monster's frighten method is getting invoked, you don't know. You can assign anything, like you can have your monster act as a vampire, you can have your monster act as a dragon, and you can have your monster act as a monster itself. Okay, so this is called the polymorphic behavior. Okay, now one more thing is, and there is this overloading concept. Let us see one more example. Now you have an appliance superclass. Okay, and inside the appliance superclass you have written two methods, turn on, turn off. Now there are multiple appliances, like you have toaster, you have oven, you have fridge, refrigerator, right? So for each and every appliance you should turn on and off, but the way you turn on and off the each appliance could be different, but you have to turn on and off the appliance. So what you have done, you have put some default implementation in the superclass appliance, and you let your subclasses add their own implementations for turn on and off. Now let's say you have a toaster as one of your appliance, and you have you're overriding you're providing the specific implementation for turn on method, right? So now in this case, let's say you create an appliance reference variable. Okay, and then you create an object for the toaster. Now if I invoke boolean appliance.turn on, would this method get invoked? No. Why it does not get invoked means, so appliance, when you click on turn on button, it will go to this toaster class. Okay, it will go to this toaster class and then it will search method turn on. So it finds there is a method named turn on, but it has some parameter. So it wants some parameter as an input, but your appliance class is like your appliance reference variable is searching only for the turn on method with no parameters. So it will not be able to find turn on method with no parameters, and then it goes to the superclass and this method gets invoked. So the main thing here is, when you are overriding the method or when you are providing your own implementation, you have to remember the number of parameters or the type of parameters as well. Let's say here it did not have any parameters. So if you want to really override, you should not put any parameters as well. Okay, And even let's say here you have one parameter of type integer, and if you are using another if you are using the single parameter with type of double, also it will not work. You should have your method syntax same as your superclass, then only you will be able to override the behavior. Otherwise this behavior you don't call it as an override behavior. This behavior is called as the overloading behavior, that we will discuss now. And one more thing is, if you really do behavior, you should not yeah, restrict the access level. Now here see, this particular method is the public, and now what you have done, you have made the private. You might assume that okay, I have written a turn on method in the toaster, I have provided my specific implementation. Now when I assign appliance reference variable to my toaster object, this should get invoked. Definitely it will not get invoked, because whatever the objects that are, whatever the method implementations that you have written in the subclasses should not have, should access more restrictive than the superclass. Here public is accessible to everyone, whereas private is accessible to only the members that are present in that class, right? Now you are telling the outside reference variable to access your private method. That can't happen. So even if the number of parameters and the return types are same, your method should not have the more restrictive access than your superclass. Let's say it's a like maybe you can have the lesser or same or lesser restrictive access in the subclass, then only you can say that you are overriding the method. So whenever you are overriding the method, the access levels should be either more or same as the superclass, and then it should have the same number of parameters, and it should have the same type of parameters, and even the return types also should be same. Then only you can say that that method is overriding the behavior that is present in the superclass. Let's say if you change any of these things, you call that as an overloading behavior. Let's see that overloading behavior. So if you see here what is happening, for now I will comment these 3 lines, okay. Let's say here in this particular class, this particular class is providing add method. It is providing add method which is accepting only integers. So if you want to add 2 integers, you can use this method, okay. But I am the client, I am the person who is using this method, who is using this add names of method, but I have the double values. Let's say I have the double values, double d1 equal to 10 and then double d2 equal to 100. Now if I invoke this overloads method, would it work? Overloads equal to new overloads, would it work? Overloads dot add names of, if I use d1 dot d2, see, by just looking at the method name add names, you will assume that it will add any numeric values, right? Because a double also comes under the numeric, float also comes under the numeric, long also comes under the numeric. Now what I thought is, okay, this method name is add names, so I have 2 double values. Since double also comes under the numeric, I can go and invoke this method, but this will not work. It is throwing the error. It is saying that the add names of method is accepting only the integers, but you are providing the double values, so it will not work. So to add these 2 numbers, what you have to do, you have to explicitly typecast your numbers, like you have to explicitly typecast this, okay. Now let's say if some other person comes and they want to add 2 long numbers, then they also have to do this typecasting. This is a problem to the people, whoever is using this method. This is working only for the integers. So to make this particular method work for others as well, like double and the long, what you can do is, you can go to your overloads method and then you can write other methods, okay. Now if you see here, I have written another method. Let's say this one, this add names method, it can accept double, and this add names method can accept integer. If you see, since the operation that is doing, since the logic that is present inside the method is similar, inside the method is similar, you want to use the same name because it is adding 2 numbers, it is adding the numbers. So you can use the same method name, but you can change the type of the parameters, type of the method parameters. Now if you see in the test, if you go to test and then if you don't do this typecasting, it will work because you have provided another method. Now you have passed double, right? So what it will do, it will search for add names of method which will have two parameters, and first parameter is of type double and the second parameter is of type double. It will go to overloads method. Okay, it will go to overloads, and then it will search for add names method which has two parameters. Okay, and inside the two parameters also, first parameter is the double and second parameter is the double. It found the method, and then it will it will invoke this method. Let's say I invoke, I have two long numbers. Okay, long L1 equal to 100 and long L2 equal to 500. And overloads of add names, if I do L1 comma L2, what will happen? It will go and search in this overloads method for the add names of method which has two arguments, and the first parameter is of type long and the second parameter is also of type long. So it has that implementation, right? It has that method, so it invokes that. So for me as the client, I don't know whether the method is same or whether the method is different. I assume that it has a single method add names, but it is but internally it accepts anything. So for the user, whoever is using this add names of method, for them it's very easy and they might think that it's the same method as well. But internally what we are doing for the same implementations with the different parameter types, we have provided the different methods. Okay, now this is called the overloading. Like you can say two methods as the overloaded methods if they have change in the type of parameters or the number of parameters. Let's say here, if you look at first method and the second method, it has the same method name. But if you look at the parameters, it has two parameters and it also has two parameters. But if you look at the type, the second type is integer and here the second type is double. So you can say this as these two methods as the overloaded methods. Let's say here these two methods are also overloaded methods because it is accepting two parameters and it is accepting three parameters. This is also an overloaded method. So you can say two methods as overloaded methods if they have difference in either the number of parameters or the type of parameters. It can accept two parameters, it can accept three parameters, and one method one method might accept only one parameter and another method will not have parameter at all. Let's say you can have something like public void add names, though you can have something like that, and these two methods are also the overloaded methods. So if you have the difference in the number of parameters or the type of parameters, you can say these as the overloaded methods. And coming to the return type should vary only if there is at least change in either the number of parameters or the type of parameters. What does that mean? Let's say I'll consider this one. I'll remove this. Now if you see here these two methods, okay, these two methods double A and the double B. Let me double A and double B. Let us see these two methods. Okay, in these two methods, what is happening? In these two methods, return types are different. So if you look at the parameters, that parameters types are also different. Let's say I'll put double here. Okay, and I'll put double. Now if you look, only the return type is different. Here the return type is double and here the return type is long. But if you go to the parameter, it has two parameters, and the type of the parameters is also same. So your return type should vary only if you have difference either in the number of parameters or the type of parameters. If all these are same and if you change just the return type, it will not work. Let's see. Here it is saying duplicate method. Add clashes with the same methods. Both methods have same erasure. It will not work. Why it will not work? Let me explain it. Now let's say you have add names of double. Now let's say I'll remove this. Okay, I'll remove this with long. I'll revert back the changes. Now let's say you have two methods. You have two methods like this, double A and double B. Now what you want is, you want your variable, you want the result to be double in one case, double 3, and in another case you want the result, and in the other case you want the result in the long, because only the return types are different here, right? In the overloads method it is accepting double, and even the number of parameters are same, but the only the return type is different. Now what you have done is you have two double values, and then you are invoking method add names of, and then add names of, right? You are invoking the method, but you want your return type. First you want your return type as double value, and the second you want return type as the long value. This is what you want. But let's say you have done this, and you have you say the compiler to invoke the add names method. What compiler does, it will go to the overloads method, and then it will search for the add names method, which is accepting first parameter type as double and the second parameter also as type double. Then it goes here, and in the overloads method it finds two methods which is accepting the two parameters, and those parameters are also of type double. Then how can compiler distinguish which method it should invoke? You are not telling your compiler that you need this particular, when this statement gets executed, you are not telling your compiler that I want the return type as long or double. There is no such identification. Without that identification, how can even the compiler go and get the method that it is that it wants double or the long? It don't know, because it founds to, like it go and find the two methods which is accepting two double parameters, and it can't it can't judge which method it should invoke. So you can't do that. That's why if you are changing only the return type, there should be a change in either the type or the number of parameters. Okay. Now this overload, if you come to the overloading concept, you can say two methods as overloaded methods. If the method name should be same, two methods having the same method name, but you have difference either in the number of parameters or the type of parameters. Okay. And if your return type is changing, there should be change either in the number of parameters or type of the parameters. That is the only if your methods are following these three conditions, then you can say that those methods as the overloaded methods. And coming to the overriding, for overriding you should have the similar thing, same thing. Like let's say you have make noise of method, and if you want to override that behavior in the subclass, you have to use the same thing. You have to use the public access modifier also, either same or less restrictive than the superclass, and the return types and the parameters and everything should be same. The only implementation would be different. So method overriding and method overloading. Method overriding happens between the superclass and the subclass, like between the parent and the child classes. In parent you have some implementation and you want to override, or you want your own specific implementation for your subclasses, then you can override that method and have your own implementation. And if you say method overloading, in the same class, if you have a same method which accepts different number of parameters or different type of parameters, you can say that as an overloading. So overloading is a compile time behavior and the overriding is a runtime behavior. So because if you see here, based on the number, like when you go here and look at the methods, you can say that okay, it accepts two integers, it accepts two doubles, the return type is same. By just looking at this method, your compiler can say which method, like if this method is getting invoked, what is getting passed. It can say it clearly based on the types and the return types and the number of parameters it is accepting. It can say during the compile time itself. But for the method go to this wait object, you can't determine which animal is making noise because you have overridden the behavior. Okay. Yeah. To summarize what we have discussed, polymorphism is having many forms and that can be achieved by using the method overriding. You have your superclass and then you have your child classes. You override the behavior in the child classes, and then instead of using the concrete reference variables, reference types, you can use the superclass reference types. Using the superclass reference types, your code is more flexible and you can pass any animal here. And since you can pass any animal, it can exhibit obvious. That's why we call this method overriding, and then using the superclass reference type as the polymorphism. So to achieve the polymorphism, you have to follow the method overriding. First, you have to add your implementation, and then one more thing is you have to use the superclass reference types like we have used here, right? You have to use the superclass reference types, even not only for assignments, even for the method parameters and the method return types. If you use the superclass reference types, you can achieve the polymorphic behavior. And for overloading, you just change the number of parameters and the type of parameter and also the return types, and that is called as an overloading. Yeah. Hope you understand about the polymorphism and the method overloading.